Recent footage of Mick Fleetwood has unsettled even the most hardened fans. His hands tremble uncontrollably now, no longer steady enough to trust instinct alone. His voice breaks mid-thought, as if emotion and exhaustion collide before the words can escape. At 78, the towering drummer who once held Fleetwood Mac together through chaos, genius, and catastrophe appears fragile in ways that feel unfamiliar and deeply human. Christine McVie's death in November 2022 carved a permanent absence into his life. The Maui fires in 2023 wiped away not only his restaurant but a place where he felt grounded after decades of motion. His body, shaped by relentless touring, substance abuse, collapsed lungs, shattered wrists, and decades of punishment, is finally demanding payment. Yet what haunts those closest to him most isn't what the cameras show. It's what he quietly confessed to a friend not long ago. That time no longer feels theoretical. The end, he said, feels closer than he ever allowed himself to believe. Mick Fleetwood entered the world on June 24, 1947, in Redruth, Cornwall, at a time when Britain was still rationing food and clothing after World War II. Life was restrained, careful, and quiet. His father, a Royal Air Force officer, earned a modest salary and ran the household with discipline rather than indulgence. Mick was the second of 3 children, raised in an environment where imagination substituted for material comfort. Music slipped into that world almost accidentally. Jazz records played on the radio while routines of military life set a strict tempo around him. That contrast, freedom inside structure, shaped him early. Scarcity taught him endurance. Order taught him patience. Together, they forged a work ethic that would later hold a band together when nothing else could. When Mick was 4, the family relocated to Wales due to another RAF posting. It was there that sound truly began to shape him. His father returned from overseas assignments carrying African drumming records, rhythms unlike anything heard in British homes at the time. Mick played them endlessly. He tapped the beats out on furniture, pots and walls, building crude drum kits out of boxes, and whatever he could find. The rhythms felt alive, communal, ancient. By the time the family moved again, this time to Egypt when Mick was 10, music became inseparable from his identity. Cairo overwhelmed his senses. Arabic drumming echoed through markets, jazz bands played late into the night, and street musicians performed with raw instinct and fearless joy. Mick watched, listened, absorbed. These sounds didn't just inspire him. They rewired how he understood rhythm. Returning to London in 1957, Mick no longer fit neatly into the musical expectations of British youth. His sense of time and groove came from places far outside conventional Western structure. At 13, he persuaded his parents to buy him his first real drum kit, squeezed tightly into a London flat with thin walls. He practiced obsessively. Neighbors complained. His hands blistered. The noise shook the building. Still, he kept playing. His parents eventually understood this was not a hobby but a calling. Those countless hours shaped the thick, unshakable groove that would later define his style. Less flashy, more primal, built to carry others rather than dominate them. As a teenager, Mick snuck into Soho jazz clubs like the Marquee and the Flamingo, standing in the shadows and studying drummers who played with emotion rather than technical perfection. Philly Joe Jones became a quiet hero. Mick learned that feel mattered more than precision. That instinct could outrun theory. That lesson stayed with him forever. At 16, convinced school was holding him back, he dropped out and committed fully to music. Auditions followed, many ending in rejection. His height made him look awkward behind a kit. His timing was raw. He worked menial jobs to pay for lessons, lived with his sister, and practiced in her garage. Progress came slowly and painfully. In 1964, he joined the Chesters, playing R&B covers in grim North London pubs where the floor stuck to your shoes and fights weren't uncommon. Arguments erupted on stage. Once, overwhelmed by frustration, Mick smashed his drum kit mid-gig. That low moment led to a second-hand Ludwig set, whose massive bass drum became his signature sound. By 1966, after brutal tours and short-lived bands, Mick joined John Mayall's Bluesbreakers, where he bonded deeply with guitarist Peter Green, though Mayall later dismissed him for being too wild. The chemistry between Mick and Green was undeniable. In July 1967, Mick Fleetwood and Peter Green formed Fleetwood Mac. Their first major show at the Windsor Jazz and Blues Festival nearly fell apart under heavy rain, but promoters noticed their grit. John McVie soon joined, solidifying the band's core. Early success arrived quickly with Black Magic Woman and Albatross, the latter becoming their only UK #1 single. But instability followed closely behind. Managers exploited them. Money vanished. Jeremy Spencer's erratic behavior caused bans from venues. And then Peter Green's mind began to fracture after heavy LSD use in Munich. Watching his closest friend unravel devastated Mick. Firing Green was necessary, but the guilt never left him. More heartbreak followed. Danny Kerwin's alcoholism and breakdown ended his tenure abruptly. Bob Weston's affair with Mick's wife shattered him personally and collapsed a tour. Then came the surreal nightmare of a fake Fleetwood Mac touring America while the real band fought legal battles just to reclaim their own name. Mick, exhausted and broke, slowly became the band's reluctant leader simply because no one else could study the chaos. Christine McVie's arrival as a full-time member in 1970 became the band's emotional lifeline. Her calm presence balanced the volatility around her. When her marriage to John McVie crumbled under alcoholism, Mick again stepped in quietly, mediating, preserving the band at great personal cost. By 1974, crushed by lawsuits and UK taxes, Mick pushed Fleetwood Mac to relocate to Los Angeles. Cocaine consumed his life. He burned through money at a staggering pace, bankrupting himself repeatedly. Bob Welch quit, leaving the band without direction until Mick heard a demo by Buckingham Nicks, insisting that both Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks join. Mick made the most consequential decision of his career. What followed was both triumph and destruction. Fleetwood Mac and then Rumors were born from emotional wreckage. Affairs, divorces, jealousy, addiction, all unfolded inside the studio. Mick's affair with Stevie Nicks complicated everything. Christine and John McVie's marriage collapsed. In real time, Lindsey and Stevie's breakup fueled venomous brilliance. Cocaine lined studio consoles. Fights erupted. Yet somehow, the pain crystallized into Rumors, one of the greatest albums ever made. Behind the scenes, Mick nearly died. During the tour, he overdosed on heroin alone in a hotel room. Roadies performed CPR while the audience waited outside. Unaware how close the band came to ending that night, he told no one, fearing the truth would destroy what little stability remained. The decades that followed never truly slowed. Financial ruin returned with Tusk. Injuries piled up. Tours continued. Lineups shifted. Reunions reopened old wounds. Christine's death in 2022 finally broke something that had endured everything else. Then Maui burned, taking Mick's restaurant, his sanctuary, and countless memories with it. He chose to help others rebuild even as his own losses mounted. Now, nearing 80, Mick Fleetwood stands as a survivor of excess, brilliance, and heartbreak. His hands shake. His voice cracks. Yet when he speaks of rhythm, of Christine, of the hope that Stevie and Lindsey might one day reconcile, the fire still glows. His body may be slowing, but the rhythm that began in a rationed English home echoed through African streets and carried one of the most volatile bands in rock history has never truly left him.